jump into the topic, I want you to know who I am. And I mean, not just from the bio that was just read, my experience and my life journey. So let's start with my college years. I went to John Jay College of Criminal Justice in New York, and my major at that time was legal studies. I was an enthusiastic, legal studies / law. I was enthusiastic about becoming an attorney. At the time, I thought I wanted to defend women's rights, violence against women, or sexual harassment in the workplace. However, I did an internship at the Bronx Supreme Court in New York, and I got scared. Pretty much, I was assigned to a judge, and I'm not sure if you know internships. An internship is like a co-op program. Do you know it's a co-op program, correct? Guys? Ladies?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. All right. So I did an internship there, and pretty much one day coming back home exhausted after exams, this is my senior year in college, I'm not paying attention, leaving, going home, about to go on the subway train, and I felt someone tapped me on my shoulder, and I looked around to realize it was one of the attorneys that worked for the judge, and there were two attorneys that worked for him. And I asked, you know, what's going on? And he said, you really need to pay attention when you're walking. And I was like, why? What's going on? He said, just walk with me. And I realized from the side view of my eyes, I was being followed. And I was being followed by one of the mobs from a mafia group that we were overseeing. When I say overseeing, they had, you know, the court case on. Now, this particular case, bodies were found in cars, in the river, stuff like that, the sea. It was a very deadly case. And at that time, I said, you know, maybe this is not the career for me, because I am, you know, I thought to myself, maybe I'm not that bold. So I went on with my master's in social science. But initially, I did political science, but the dean of the department talked me out of it. In the sense, he told me, oh, if you did social science, you have an opportunity to work with the United Nations. And I got really excited about that. Never worked with the UN, but I have this master's degree. And I'm happy I did social science, because I was able to, you know, cover sociology, understand people, how they work, their beliefs, their culture, and I love all that. After 9 years or so, I decided to do my doctorate, and my doctorate is in educational leadership. Thought process behind that is that all my knowledge, everything that I put together, I can basically do it in an educational setting. My work background is diverse, and you'll hear me talk about it during this lesson. If you look at me, I'm not a small person. And I say that because with discrimination, I've faced discrimination in many different ways, not just gender, but I face discrimination as well with race or just the way I look, all right? And so I'll explain, you know, with you further about this, because I'm sure some of you probably experience discrimination, even if you're not working at the moment, because you're in university, you do experience some sort of discrimination. Sometimes you don't even know that you're being discriminated against, because you probably don't know the signs of it and how to handle it in the workplace. So I'm going to move on. And this is a picture of the International Women's Day Conference in New York. This was 2018. I did one the year before. It's not the first conference, but that's the last one that I didn't do one this year. And I showed you this picture because you see a diverse group of women. Here you have women in leadership positions, from owning their own communications company, from being the head of a STEM program in one of the highest labs in New York, to owning several newspaper companies, to running schools, to being a high-powered attorney. This is the group here. I'm not going to point out, fingers who is what, but we're all here. And the reason I focus on women empowerment, because for a time I was in Saudi Arabia, which I met one of your professors currently with you. And first I went to, from being a professor to being the chair of the social science and humanities department. And I saw a need for females, because I was only over females at the time. And I say at the time for a reason, because you're going to see the next slide, where females had the need to be in that society empowered. So when you're coming from American, in American universities, the females, they're different. In Saudi Arabia, they're a little bit quieter compared to Americans. And I wanted to let these, young ladies feel empowered, and that continue on for me. I wrote a book around leadership because of that, did some research around that. When I went back to the States, I continue on. Then I got some calls. I got some calls last year and that's me in the middle. That's my abaya without the hijab. That's me. And I got some calls, they wanted me to train males. Well, it wasn't males, but it was just to do some training. When I stepped in, it was mostly males, as you see in this picture. And I, coming from a background where I'm working with a lot of females to a background now where it's training a male environment. And the first thought came to me is, what are they going to think about me? Are they going to accept me? What's going to be the feedback? And all, as a trainer or someone who speaks, you're supposed to be confident, but at the same time, individuals might have a preconception, belief system, and you need to work around that, especially in a society where women are not at the forefront. They're trying, but they're not at the forefront as yet. Or they don't have certain positions as yet. But the pictures I'm showing you is the happy groups, okay? So the next I'm gonna show you is a group here. This is in Dubai. And these guys were very in tune to, participating, and I loved it. They did a great presentation. But, all in all, I've dealt with, I remember last year I was in Malaysia, and one of the participants came in to the room and he looked at me and he said, I hope you're gonna teach me something I've never learned before. And I said, excuse me? And then later on in a sentence, he was like, well, I've never had a woman to teach me. So what are you gonna teach me that's new? And imagine you have to stay with someone 5 days with this preconception. It's like you have to show who you are. And I don't feel that, that pressure should be on anyone. But I had to go through the week to basically show this individual, I am a competent individual, I have knowledge. This is a more of a recent picture. Again, I just take the picture for you to see. There is just guys. So imagine a society of women is coming in, speaking to them. Luckily for me, with these groups, they've been open-minded, for the most part. But there have been cases where I felt, discriminated against because of my gender. And I'll mention that later, some of the cases. So I need you, there's some questions there. I need you to take a few, like 2-3 minutes and answer them. The question says, in what way are you different from other students in your class? How are you the same as other students in your class? Is friendship with the other gender different from the same gender friendship? How and why? Do you change your actions and activities when you're present, you're the present of other gender? How and why? And I'm gonna give you like 2 minutes to gather your thoughts on this. And I'm gonna ask for some volunteers to answer these questions, all right? I'm gonna give another minute. All right. I would like to learn about, this is the only way I can learn about you in this environment. I can't speak to every single person, but I would like to know, what can someone address, in what way or ways are you different from the other students in your class? And don't be shy. Do we have a volunteer? It's not a hard question. How are you different? Are you from another country? Oh, we have a volunteer. Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm very fine.
Okay. What is your name, my dear? I can't hear you. Are you speaking?
Okay. Can you hear me? My name is Chitra.
Okay, I can hardly hear you, but I'll do my best. So, in what ways are you different?
In what ways am I different from other students in my class? First of all, I'm an Indian, so it's like majority is Chinese.
I need some help. Maybe the moderator could help what she said, please.
Can you hear me better?
Yes, I could hear you.
Great. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay, can you really hear me now?
Yes, I could hear you.
Okay, so it's like, in what way am I different from other students in the class? First of all,
Yeah.
I'm an Indian, so it's like the majority here is Chinese.
Okay. All right. So thanks for sharing that. And obviously that stands out. Am I correct?
Yeah, that stands out because Indians are the minority over here.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you another question. If this is the case in the classroom, will this be the case in the workforce?
It will be in a workforce, not only workforce. There's also problems when you want to have accommodations. Yeah. The first thing they might say is like they want Mandarin speaking or they want a particular ethnic in their workforce. The accommodation is like because of one part of our Indians is not right.
I think everyone should give her a hand.
So the majority of Indians have effect.
Can you please repeat the last part?
So, I mean, like, to be said that just because of one partial Indians who shows negative side, the majority Indians has defect as well.
Okay, okay, got you. All right, thank you so much. Everyone give her a hand, please. Is anyone else? Well, let's look at the last question. Do you change your actions or activities when you're in the presence of another gender? Anyone want to tackle that question? We had one brave person. I'm sure we have someone else who's just as brave. Do you change your attitude when you're speaking or dealing with someone that's opposite? Why?
We have that one. Hi, Neva. I'm Ali. Can you hear me?
Hello.
I'm Ali. A-L-Y.
I can hardly hear you.
My name is Ali.
Okay. So how do you act different, or how do your actions change when you're in the presence of another gender?
Well, to me, I don't really change my actions because I see them as a friend. So the way I talk, the way I interact is just the same as other genders, to my perspective.
Okay, so yes. All right. And are you comfortable when your actions change? Are you comfortable? Are you not comfortable? I know that question is not there, but how do you feel about it?
Well, to me, initially I would feel uncomfortable, but it gradually might change if anything happens, that would make me feel uncomfortable.
All right, excellent. Yeah. Okay. You were saying something else.
No, I didn't say something else.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming up. Thank you. So I ask these questions because these same things happens in the workplace, the school, the environment, the university. When you go out in the workplace, it prepares you for the workplace, and you will see sometimes, your action might change in the workplace when you come across another gender. All right, and this could be from a cultural perspective. It could be the environment that you're working. It could be so many different things. All right. So gender discrimination happens when employees treated differently than other employees because of his or her gender identity. That's when it happens, all right? And what are some gender discrimination do you hear about in the workplace in Malaysia? I want you here to, how many do we have in that room at the moment?
Approximately, I think 100, more or less.
How much?
100.
100, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I want them, if you can, in small groups, talk about what are some gender, you could talk to each other, what are some gender discrimination do you hear about in the workplace? All right, so that's what I want you to do at this time. And then I'll ask, groups to just tell me, give me a list of what are some of the discrimination that we might hear about in the workplace, all right? So you can speak with each other, talk to each other. What are the discriminations that you hear about? I'm going to give you, let's see, as I said, little groups. I'm going to give you, 3 minutes to come up with five discriminations. And then we're going to see if pretty much everyone is saying the same types of discrimination. All right?
Sorry, 5 types of discrimination, you're saying? 5 types? How many types you're saying?
Okay. So it says, all right. What are some gender discrimination do you hear of in the workplace? So within, I want 3 minutes, and they're little to talk about it, talk with each other, to just put 5.
5.
Yes.
5. Okay.
Yeah, write 5 down, and then we'll see how we might be hearing some of the same discriminations that are being similar or not.
Okay, sure. Okay, sure.
So what are the discriminations that are on those paper? What's written down?
Right. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, so, mostly I have a list that is talking about the equal pay rates.
Equal pay, okay.
Equal pay rates, yeah. And
so just I'm just going to be making some notes as well. So equal pay, yes. What else?
Yes. And then there's this, often hear about sexual harassment. Sexual harassment, women normally are the victim. Oh, and this very interesting fact there that I have from one of the groups, saying that women, especially mother that needs to breastfeed, they are deprived from having the facility or the opportunity to have this breastfeeding facility in the company. They're not being provided with the facility.
They're not being provided with what?
Breastfeeding mothers. Breastfeeding mothers.
Oh, okay. So, mothers have to feed their children, right?
They're not being provided with the facility so that they can actually, extract. Yeah. Then there's a more common one. It's about the promotion opportunities.
Okay.
Opportunities and employment and opportunities. Mostly, we heard that mostly the preference are given to men. Employment opportunities.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Yeah. There's one more. Pregnant women are quite difficult to get jobs. That's what they wrote. And most companies prefer single or unmarried women in the workforce. That is true. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about all the list. You have any other list that you want me to read out, guys?
Good. Is there another?
Come on. You want me
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, there's this discrimination on fixing women to wear certain attire. Certain attire like short skirts, that kind of thing.
Okay. All right.
Yes, I think that's about all. Thank you.
All right. Now, this is in Malaysia, but understand this is across the world. This is across the board. This happens in many different places. I mean, equal pay is an issue that we hear in the United States, where they're saying it's 78 cents, 77 to 78 cents to every male. So women will get 70 or 78% cents to $1 US for the salary. And someone says it's not true. However, this, again, in other parts of the world, it might be 50% to 1. And I'll talk about that in a few. Sexual harassment, you know, goes across the board. And no, I know that we're looking at the end where women might be sexually harassed, but, you know, in some parts of the world, it goes both ways. Men can be sexually harassed too if someone is a female is in a certain power, and that I've heard of cases of such. Breastfeeding, they are not given the accommodation or understand the, you know, their employer is not understanding that this is something that they need. So they try to eliminate women when they're pregnant, like get out of the workplace. I've seen it happen. Giving someone, you're fired, you know, leave because, you know, you're gonna have a baby. Unfair practices, right? Lack of promotion for women is like women's supposed to be at a certain level. Let's see what else is on the list. Can't get the job. They prefer singles to work for them because they feel singles don't have to worry about that family. So you could work more being a single person. And, you know, women should wear certain clothing. I've heard of certain women have to dress provocatively, or some women have to not dress with the way they feel comfortable. And we'll talk about that some more. All right. So thanks, guys. Very good job.